Hey folks, yeah, doing an improvised quick live stream. The idea was, yeah, I was thinking about the afternoon about doing something um, about this time, given that I couldn't be there this past this Sunday as we usually do. That it's all on me. Just family stuff. So we went out of town, had a great time, but it's not the kind of thing I usually advertise, right? Just because of simple common sense in terms of privacy and security and so on. So, but I know that a lot of you folks really miss those. And we hadn't done the one previous to that. Um, I think it was because of the YouTube thing. So this would be a good opportunity to explain a couple of things. Most of all, the problem that I have now um, with YouTube is that I got the channels, like all of my channels. I have four channels, right? The This one, of course, the prepper one in Spanish as well, and I have a couple other channels also in English and Spanish regarding video games and movies and fun stuff for me. It's mostly just a matter of stuff that I like doing. And since I like doing it, why not have a dedicated channel for that? And it's little by little, slowly growing. I have over a thousand, almost 2,000 in the Spanish one, 100 in the English one. Anyway, all of a sudden, it all got it's not just demonetized. Everything just got wiped. Nothing. It was basically the end in terms of doing YouTube content for me. So I spent that weekend figuring stuff out. Whenever you have a problem getting to deal with the YouTube people, well, it's not the YouTube people, it's like Google. Google is the one that is in charge of all the serious advertising stuff. So that was a fun weekend, man. That was very entertaining. Turns out that whatever you do regarding the war in Ukraine content, it basically that day, all of the channels that did that kind of content got not just demonetized but suspended entirely on their channels. No more advertising revenue for you. Eventually it got restored, and it seems to have been the same way for this guy Dennis, the guy in the Ukrainian guy that does content regarding the war as well. But man, it's one of these weird things where you just have to wonder, right? They had said before that anything that is Russian propaganda kind of thing, they would just demonetize you. All right, I get it. Now we don't do that. This Dennis guy is definitely not. He's definitely. I mean, the guy is Ukrainian, so he's not doing any kind of pro-Russian propaganda in any way or form, and he still got demonetized. Myself, so I checked with different channels. Pretty much most of these that did any kind of content regarding the war got demonetized. So it's yet again the same stuff with COVID, where we spent 2 freaking years speaking in code, and even that was not only just a pain in the ass, because even still, in spite of that, every once in a while I got a strike and my account suspended, and I couldn't upload anything for an entire week. And if you just got that at the beginning of the week, it meant that you just couldn't do a live stream the following weekend. So at this point, I'm kind of, what is it that I do, right? Because if we can't speak freely here, what's even the point, right? Especially when we do live streams with Matt, where we just we just don't prepare anything. We just start talking, and as you guys know, we end up discussing, debating different opinions, and I actually like doing that. Now, if YouTube is going to be closing down my channel because of that, where is it that I should go? Now, one of the things that many of you folks have, yeah, exactly. One of the things that many of you have suggested is Rumble, and it turns out that now Rumble does allow live streaming. It wasn't the case before. Now it's up. I could do this. I could do a live streaming with StreamYard using the Rumble account. Now, that's going to be up to you guys if you want to show for that, watch it over there or not. We'll see how that goes. But I think that at this point, that's the only option I have left in terms of keep my channel going and be able to have these conversations without having to worry about having my channel shut down. So yeah, that's basically where we are, guys. That's how things are. It was bad enough with COVID, and you all know how that turned out, right? All of the things we were talking about turned out to be correct. Pretty much everything we said back then turned out to be true, and then some. You know, the so-called conspiracy theories were not so much conspiracy theories as actual facts that are now only becoming more visible and in the eye of the public. But back then, even mentioning any of this, boom, strike from YouTube. So it's kind of what it is, right? We have this situation and we just have to deal with it whatever any way we can. But I just want to do like just a short video, checking out with you guys, seeing if you have. I know that it's not the usual day, so I understand that there's not nearly the kind of people, the amount of people that usually show up for these. But I know that there's lots of you that really miss these live streams that we do. So just want to check with you guys. And yeah, if anyone has any questions and stuff like that, and you want to, well, this is a great moment for that because just a handful of people. If you want to ask anything, more than welcome and more than happy to answer. There's Lucio Maschela says, "Hi, Fer. A lot of people in the same situation decide to host their own site with a little subscription fee. Maybe it could be an option." It definitely could be. I mean, the Rumble thing. The only problem, you know what is? The thing is, a lot of people offer, do this over here, but at the end of the day, most people just go back to YouTube. So the amount of people that you end up getting is going to be, maybe if you usually get like 500, 700, 800. I mean, we had times in which we had 1,000 people, watching the live stream at times. It's probably going to be 100, maybe 200 people, and I'm okay with that. But usually you want to do something where you get the most amount of people and more, eyes on whatever that is you're doing. But yeah, definitely a possibility, a good option there. Now having my own, like a website for, man, that's whenever you have something like hosting your own. I mean, it has to be through Rumble or something like that, because if not, doing a dedicated website for streaming, that sounds that's gonna be a lot more complex and a lot more expensive as well and involved. So yeah, probably not the best thing. But yeah, anyway, that's just one of the things I want to mention, and just checking some of the latest things. I was recently just talking with my brother over in UK, how things are very complicated over there in terms of the prime minister. She's pretty much a dead woman walking, right? She's pretty much gone, and the economy is very bad over there. I mean, the economy is not great anywhere. We all know that. Inflation is impacting everyone pretty hard, but in UK, man, that's not looking good at all. One of the consequences of all of the Brexit thing, which people have their own opinions about how good or bad it was. I have no fantasies as of, oh, this was the people having their opinion. We all know how that usually is. Whenever you have decisions like these, usually they're taking in advance, and it's people being led to do things that are benefiting, maybe not themselves. So what you're looking at right now is projections for one of the worst economies of the developed world for years to come. So yeah, it's not going to be easy. And for the rest of us, man, we're looking at a complicated scenario just in general. In US, inflation is pretty bad. Crime going up as well. Institutionally speaking, in terms of politics, you have a pretty big mess there too. I was watching this Tulsi Gabbard thing with her now being the sweetheart of conservatives. Sometimes I feel I'm in like a alternative universe. Really, Tulsi Gabbard, the Bernie Sanders sidekick, is now our greatest ally for all things political. Anyway, that's one strange way of viewing things. A woman that is now, and it's funny because she's running with this thing in just a matter of days. She uploaded a video of herself shooting an AR and doing like some a practical shooting. Right. The following week, she's over at Joe Rogan's, and and at the same moment, she makes the announcement that she's leaving the evil commie Democrat Party. Really? Okay, that's a pretty quick change of heart that she had over there. But that's what you have, right? That's what you're looking at. And as for the rest, you guys know how things are. I look at it in terms of how is this going from this point onward with Joe Biden as a shell of a man, and who knows who's really taking and making the decisions right now. It's not. I mean, there's still hope. I watched what's happening in Italy with this with Meloni, the prime minister of new prime minister of Italy, attacked viciously by the established media, but yeah, she's brilliantly evil. Yeah, she's pretty clever. She's pretty smart. I mean, she's not as It's not like Kamala Harris, who's just poor, pathetic little person, right? She cannot put a couple sentences together. But the idea that Tulsi Gabbard is now speaking against the evil military complex. I mean, that woman served two tours in Middle East, and she mentions that every single time she gets, so as to get political cookie points for that. And now all of a sudden she's she's the voice of the anti-military industrial complex. All right. I mean, make up your mind. Are you okay with doing that sort of thing and still being a part of it or not? Because you can't have it both ways. Or maybe you can. Maybe she can actually. So yeah, it's very strange, man. The Meloni thing gives me a little bit of hope, as there's places in where people have a clear idea of what they want in there for the future. Meloni basically said it's about country, family, God. I'm not the most religious person there is, right? But I definitely do appreciate valuing family and having an appreciation for your country, your culture, your values. All of those things are being taken away from us day by day, and it's getting worse. I definitely see how people in Italy got behind that idea. And we are under attack. Make no mistake, guys. Our values are under attack. Our freedoms, our basic society, really, the way in which we understand what it means to have a high quality of life, God, family, country. Yeah, basically that's what she was talking about. All of that is under attack right now. I want to do a video about this. Again, TikTok, these trends. There's one skinny little dude that dresses up like a little girl and is doing like a vlog of day one as a girl, and I mean it's insanity. This is going on in TikTok now. TikTok is Chinese media. TikTok is the Communist Party of China poisoning the West. The same poison I mentioned so many times, and some people still don't get it. The same poison we recognize and identify and point out. Look at what they're doing, attacking our values, attacking our families. It's coming straight out of China. The same poison, the same insanity they don't allow in their own country. So if that same lunatic dressing up like a little girl, like a little degenerate person that he is, does any of that in China, he gets thrown into a dungeon and he's never seen again. But using the Chinese platform, he's allowed to go into everyone's house, into homes of millions of people in the West, using that platform that China makes sure it's accessible and promotes this insanity that is destroying our culture, right? And that's what Meloni is basically talking about. That's what you see with all of these little trans what is it, like striptease and kiddie friendly trans reading hour and all of that insanity, right? All of that crazy talk that we see so much of, all of that, it keeps just growing and becoming more. And you see companies that have no problem associating with all of that evil and just looking the other way. You see Disney doing the same thing. You see Amazon doing the same stuff. And we are constantly under attack. Christianity is under attack and will be attacked even more. Man, I'm Catholic. I still am, even though I have my moments of yeah, I'm not exactly very religious, but one of the things I do appreciate is the culture and the values. That even if I don't believe in God, I can tell you that this is perverted, sick, and wrong, right? I can tell you that no, you don't have, trans hour for little kids. You don't put someone that obviously has a very serious fixation with sexualizing little children in a very perverse, sick way. You don't put that in contact with little kids and pretend that's good. And that's going on in fucking Texas. What's going on in Texas? How is that even allowed? Isn't that something that you should have laws protecting kids from that? Anyway, what's it called? Let me know there in the comments. What's it called? Like trans hour or striptease or family friendly striptease? Some insanity like that. But that's what you have more and more by the day. And if we fail to identify that as we clearly are, because so many people, yeah, I have to do that video because there's you just see the faces of some of the parents. There's this stupid, morbidly obese woman looking like when the trans dude is, lifting his skirt and saying, making comments about his genitalia that he doesn't actually have, but how sweet it is and whatnot. And the idiot is like, oh, this is not nice. No, of course it's not, you stupid, idiotic woman. And you brought your child to this. And, that's where we are. We're little by little becoming idiocracy with parents that fail their children all the time. There's more and more of this as time goes by. And, as a parent myself, I have 3 kids. I actually have a very small one. I have a 4-year-old. So you are constantly on alert and looking out for these things. Even cartoons. Some of the cartoons that are intended for toddlers have this. There's one in which they have like a neighbor that has 2 dads, another one that has 2 moms. That's evil. That is perversion directed at children, targeting children specifically. So, it's very concerning, and this is something that I really want to cover more in the channel. I think that's one of the big battles that we have ahead of us. It's not so much fighting the zombies. It's not so much fighting the UN or even the Russians or whatever the heck you think is going to be, invading, right? Whatever is invading our countries. We are being invaded by this left-wing mental poison in our homes, through internet and TV and our devices and all that. We have to be very aware of that and prepare in that aspect as well. It's maybe one of the things in which, I've been in this community for several years now, many years. It's going to be almost 2 decades now. And one of the things I come across the most is parents that fail their kids, parents that fail their children in keeping them safe. And you can go yourselves in ar15.com and websites like that, and you will read countless threads about, oh, yes, my daughter, she's a Democrat. She's an LGBT activist. Oh, I still love my son. He has his boyfriend. My son has his boyfriend, but he's a great conservative kid too. Well, you know what? You failed as a parent. If that's what ended up being your family situation, you failed. And some people get offended if you point that out. Simply what it is. If you don't own up to that, if you don't accept those failures, then you're just repeating them time and again. And if it doesn't become something you're mentally prepared for and ready to acknowledge as something that could be a weak point in your strategy, man, you may end up paying for that too. So just, one of the things, one of the many things I do in terms of preparedness is just do that. Be very careful with the upbringing of my kids. Yeah, yeah. Hey, thanks, the real Zook. Thanks for a super chat, man. Much appreciated. 2 allowances. I don't know what is that. Um, Christianity is under attack and will be attacked even more. Rubber check 72. I did a video today about this woman. It was a woman. Someone got pissed at me because I didn't mention it was specifically a woman. This 12-year-old little girl in Paris, middle class, nice upper middle class neighborhood, maybe in Paris, slaughtered, butchered, tortured, raped, horrible by this Algerian woman. This Algerian woman that was in the country illegally, got in there with a student visa bullshit thing from 2018, I think. And this crazy woman just kidnapped this 12-year-old little girl, raped her, tortured her, even drank her blood. I mean, talk about evil and insanity. That's what you had. And she had her sister as an accomplice. And like, I think it was like six Algerians that were detained for questioning. And man, you have to ask yourself, how is that even possible? Because you can have evil people all around you, and they may be local, right? You live wherever it is that you live. You live in Texas, and your Texan neighbor that lived there his entire life, he's a complete degenerate. Okay, right. But when you're bringing people from cultures that are so different, just Google a little bit about Afghanistan and how they're selling their own daughters for just a few bucks. These people sell their own kids, especially if it's a girl. A girl is basically worse than a dog or a goat. It's just worthless. I mean, not worthless. They sell their 5-year-olds to some degenerate old man for a few bucks. But that's perfectly normal for them. Now, how can you possibly bring someone from that culture, that mentality, and park that person or that entire family next door from you? I mean, and would you really be surprised if that person then does something horrible to your kids, to your daughter? I mean, he would be thinking that, yes, I was feeling a little bit, lonely, and I had a little bit of good fun with your daughter. Here you go, $100. I more than paid for what I use her for. That's how they think. And for us, it would be like, yeah, I'm going to be, cutting your head off if you do something like that to my child. For them, that's not the way they rationalize things. For them, it's, oh yeah, well, here you go, $200. I paid for your daughter. You're happy right now. You're good. You're okay. No, because I'm not. I'm not that kind of person. I don't come from that culture. Those are not our shared values. And when you have people like that being forced to live along with you, then that's what ends up happening. Anyway, let me go through some of the comments. Yeah, I'm just gonna be here for a while with you guys. Just and yeah, then go. Had to forgo a knee surgery. They wouldn't do it unless I got COVID tested. They gave up $50K. That's insanity. Why now you still have to get the shot for that? It's just you see how perverse it is, how they use all of this to infringe on your basic rights. You're paying for your surgery and you have to prove. And here is where is this? Let me know. The real Zook had to forgo. Where was this? Was this in US? That they wouldn't do knee surgery on you unless you got COVID tested? Anyway, Renovation. I'm an atheist. I grew up as the old Catholic Church, as their atrocities against kids when coming to light. I'm seeing the same pattern of power silencing and indoctrination from LGBT activists. Dude, it's even worse. I mean, and I know exactly what you're talking about, how perverse the church is, the Catholic Church. I mean, in churches in general, religious, any kind of formal religious organization will have tendencies to be very corrupt. It will have people that abuse that, and very sick people that abuse children. Now, but when you're talking about LGBT, you're talking about something that's foundational, people that have deranged, twisted sexual inclinations themselves. These are not normal people, the idea that these are just, oh yeah, he just happens to be a man that thinks he's a woman, as if that's normal. I mean, I couldn't put my dog in a show if he's not of the right breed. If you have a German Shepherd and you go to a dog show that is about poodles, and you take your German Shepherd, both of those are dogs, but you take your German Shepherd to a poodle competition, they would look at you as if you're fucking insane and say, dude, you have a German Shepherd. That's not the right dog for this show. Now, at the same time, we're living in a world where a dude can say he's a woman and no one even questions that. And if you do question that, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, you're a hateful person, you're evil, you're bad, you're crazy, you're not in tune with current times. I mean, we are not, this is a past clown world. This is insanity world right now. But this is the agenda that, people like Meloni, fortunately, are standing up against. And we need more of that because we don't have enough. And if you look at even the Republican Party in the United States, I mean, you can barely tell them from Democrats. They're so similar at times. How many Republicans do you honestly see denouncing this for real? Not the insane perversion of a dude going naked into a kiddie party or something like that, but denouncing this as complete insanity. That no, a man is not a man, is not a woman, and a woman is not a man, no matter how you feel. Right? This basic truths that we all understand. How many Republicans do you have that dare open that can of worms? Very few at all. Yeah. Anyway, my neighbor bought a children's storybook for her 3-year-old about chickens, has 2 gay dudes sleeping together. And that's the kind of thing. This is not accidental. This is editorial, right? This is the kind of thing they specifically look to put out there for children to be brainwashed. This is the kind of book that will end up in a classroom. This is the kind of book that will end up in a book list for kids to read and being suggested at different school districts. And it's specifically made so as to form a certain opinion from a very, very early age, and then normalizing all of this as a kid grows up. And by the time he's 10, 12, I mean, he's already gone. Renovation, just as it was with the old church here, the pet didn't represent the vast majority of Catholics. The LGBT indoctrinators don't represent gay people, but it is time for gay people to stand up against this. That would be something we just have to disagree on. I get it, and I understand that there may be people that are this way, that understand that they are what they are, but I cannot expect someone that has this kind of distortion, this kind of essential confusion in terms of who you are as a human being, not only as a human being, as a living creature, right? Someone that has this kind of distortion of reality. Oh, but I'm just in love with other men. Really? How the hell does that work? Oh, yeah, I'm just this way. Okay, I cannot expect anything from that person in terms of how you're supposed to raise kids. As Meloni says, those people, right, go live your life. As long as you're not hurting anyone, do whatever it is you want with your life. But let's not forget about the very important part of as long as you're not hurting other people, and especially not hurting children. The idea that 2 of these people will have the future of a child in their hands, that's insanity. You cannot expect anything good to come out of that. I mean, it's in the same statistics. The level of domestic violence that they have, what is it, 30, 40, 50% more than heterosexual couples? That is the official number, even used by them, by the LGBT community. You're looking at 30%, 40% more domestic violence, off charts suicide rates, drug abuse, sex abuse. The amount of information that is overwhelmingly pointing towards this not being a healthy environment for a child cannot be denied. And yet, because of the agenda, because of the politics, yes, like as if it was a little puppy, they hand over a child to these people. It's insane. Anyway, the book on display, middle school witches. Yeah, you have to open and check every single one of these up. You just don't know. Someone said, no, I don't know English. Well, yeah, I have to do one of these in Spanish as well. Hey, Fernando, not the shot, just the test. I don't trust it. Okay, the real Zook, not the shot, the test. Well, the test can be very simple. In terms of, they sell the kits. I actually have a bunch of those, and I used those before. We went through it a while back, and then my son had it a second time. None of us got it that second time, so probably good antibodies there. And we did the antibodies test as well back then, showing that we had responded correctly to it. So yeah, I don't. I wouldn't honestly. I wouldn't have a problem with having the test done in terms of to see that I don't have it, or that I have the antibodies having gone through it, right? But yeah, it's still infringing on your rights to why. Why is it that they have to test for that for a knee surgery? It makes no sense. Anyway, and yeah, Rubber Check 72. Check out how some of the Satanists go to church just in order to sow the seeds of evil within the church. Crazy stuff, man. Oh, man, don't get me started on the church. I know some great people that are, very religious and like very church-going kind of people. At least in my experience, I can tell you this: the people that shout out the loudest about how godly they are, how much of a Christian they are, and always, thumping their chest about how super religious and super church-going they are, usually, in my experience, they're some of the worst people. Usually the people that are quite quiet about their beliefs and just go on and do charity, go even missioning. I know one guy specifically that I knew from college that as a honeymoon he went doing missionary, feeding actual hungry kids and teaching them about religion as his honeymoon trip with his wife. Of course, both of them very, very Catholic people. But I know some complete scumbags that do the thing about going to church every freaking Sunday, and they're still horrible people. And some of the best people I know, I have no idea what religion they are. I assume, usually you see a little cross somewhere, so probably brought up Catholic, and like many of us, just distance it over the years from all of that. But yeah, it's at least for me, it's not an indication of how good or bad you are just because you go to church or not. Anyway, the real Zook, how is Argentina different now since you have written your books? Man, Argentina is quite a bit different now, and not it's actually worse even than it was before. One of the things that has changed, when I wrote my my first book, it was all still very, very fresh and very very much still ongoing in terms of especially in terms of like rioting and looting, and keep in mind, when we first saw all of this go down, we had like martial law declared in the entire country. You were not allowed to go out after, I think it was like 8 p.m. or gathering more, and you had your habeas corpus suspended. At any time they could just pick you up and take you. So yes, those things are not going on still, of course, but what has happened since then was a continuous slide into decadency and more poverty and more misery than before. Each passing year, it's just keeps getting worse, and every once in a while it doesn't get as bad all of a sudden. So there's a little bit of fluctuation there. But if you look at the bigger picture, it's been a constant decline, more poverty than ever before. It's like 60% of the country is living in 40 or 50%, is it, living in poverty now, depending on the standards of what you consider poverty. If you compare it like to developed countries, it's less than 5% of people in Argentina that live uh, in the same standards of living from middle class developed countries. It's definitely less than 5%, even closer to 3%, depending on how high that middle class is. But the majority of the country, I was just talking with my wife now. She was telling me that a friend of hers, long time friend, um, uh, they have family members that are leaving Argentina. There's still people leaving Argentina pretty much every day. They just and there's still a loss of qualified, educated people constantly leaving Argentina. If you have a good education, if you're smart, if you have options abroad, you probably leave. You don't stay in Argentina. One of the things that they were saying about Russia as well. Anyone that had a good job offer, or anyone that had the possibility. Lots of the YouTuber things, lots of content creators, as they call them. Lots of the Russian content creators. Many of the women, lots of Russian women doing lots of the makeup thing, and anyway, doing the typical YouTube thing. Yeah, they have a million followers in their channels, and they make money with YouTube. They just took off. Why the hell would you even stay there? So very similar to what you see in Argentina. If you have the option of leaving, why stay? Especially when it becomes just dangerous to even be there. And living in constant fear of getting shot all the time, that's not fun, man. That is, I even have spammers when I do these improvised things, dude. These have to. You see what I mean in terms of automated? How could this just the way it is? Anyway, if you have the option of not being there, why would you? So Argentina is worse now even than before. More decadent, closer to what Venezuela is, and even Venezuela itself. It becomes these hopeless places, where nothing gets better. The economy is not getting better. Businesses are not looking to invest in the country. People are not better educated than before. There's not any projections of a better future. None of that exists in places like that. So anyone that can just goes elsewhere. And there's always someone with a patriotic, heart that will do his best or her best. But man, it is fighting against the waves. It's hopeless. I mean, you could be you could be a damn patriot and sacrifice your life, stay there, get involved in politics maybe, and you won't get voted because the society just does not want you, does not want what you have to offer. That's when you make these decisions that usually it's fun to make fun of. Oh, your country became this or that. Sure. These days, no one can point fingers at anyone. Pretty much everyone is pretty much worried about the future. But you have to understand that there's a point in which the society is what it is, and you're the one that is not in tune with that. So if I don't want to live in a commie shithole, then you have to get yourself out of there. You can stay there, try to change it, and fail, because you will not succeed. Even if you succeed at the end of a life of sacrifice, and sacrificing not only your life but your family as well, and maybe start a movement that someday that there's a journalist in Argentina. It's called Jorge Lanata, a fat guy that's always, usually speaking against the government. And he said many times, we have to be willing to make a sacrifice that we will not see the fruits of. We will not see what this country will become. We have to be willing to sacrifice our entire life, and just maybe our children or our grandchildren will see a different reality. But we won't do that. We won't see that. So are you willing to do that? Sacrifice not only yourself, but maybe your children as well, for maybe your grandchildren to see something different? That's what you have to do when you have gone down that rabbit hole that bad. I suspect that well, I'm not suspecting crap. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same thing in Venezuela. In many ways, it's the exact same thing in places like China or Russia. And it's probably even worse in places like that, where you have institutionalized and cultural ways of viewing things with the strong leader, the Communist Party, or the guy that is in power for eternity. Or you have to change the way you think. And there was a video from a Russian guy actually that said just like something very similar. Like, this is the way we are. We don't have a different way of viewing politics or government. For us, the idea of government is this. Just like for a guy in China or a guy in North Korea, the idea of a government for someone in North Korea is having that freaking dictator over there. So how is it that you change that? Well, with a lot of violence, a lot of blood, and a massive sacrifice by a huge part of the population. So it's not easy. And the more far you go, the more you go down this hole of lack of freedom, of basic Western values, the harder it is to claw your way back out of it. So yeah, if you're in North Korea and you want to turn that country around, dude, good luck with that. It's not going to be easy at all. Anyway, yeah, guys, just want to talk a little bit about some of this stuff going on. If you have any last comments there that you'd like to, any questions, just let me know those. Yeah, funny. Tinder hot. Yeah, probably. These things are automated. I'm pretty sure there's not a person just checking YouTube all the time and posting stuff over there. Anyway, yeah, guys, that's going to be all for now, and we'll see next weekend how it goes. Again, probably that's the way to go, going with live streaming in Rumble. If that's an option, probably we'll do that. And if Matt is around, he told me that he's going to be going back to his boat soon. So whenever he's around and when we can do it, we'll do it. And that's basically it, guys. If not, I'll try to keep you folks company as well. Okay. Anyway, take care. Have a great one. Bye-bye.